Have you ever wondered why you keep getting stuck in the same loop, facing the same fear and ending with the same result? Each day you wake up believing this time will be different. But as night falls, you find yourself back at the start, repeating patterns that feel impossible to escape. That quiet voice inside your head is not simply describing your life. It is programming your reality, dictating your choices, shaping your limits, and deciding your future before you even take a step. Neuroscience shows that over 90% of human behavior is driven by the subconscious mind, meaning most of your actions come not from conscious decisions, but from deep beliefs wired long ago. Picture the office worker in New York who spent 10 years whispering to herself that she would never be good enough for a promotion. And as time passed, her words became her truth. Her inner dialogue locked her in place, while opportunities faded away. This is not only her story, it is the hidden pattern many people live under, where the inner voice insists you are not capable, not worthy, not ready, and without realizing it, you obey. The pain lies in wanting more, feeling the pull of ambition, yet every time you try to change, that whisper convinces you to stay small, to retreat into the comfort of what you already know. The frustration builds, regret deepens, and the fear of never breaking free grows heavier with every passing year. But what if the obstacle is not really you, but the script running inside your mind that you never questioned? Imagine if you could interrupt that script, rewrite it, and design a reality no longer controlled by old fears. If you have ever felt that hidden voice holding you back, type "I want change" right now to claim the start of your transformation. Because the real question that follows is the one that matters most. Where does that voice truly come from? That voice is not you. It is the result of programming from the past, from family, from society, and from painful experiences. That inner sound is only an echo, a reflection of what you have absorbed, not the essence of who you are. Remember, the moment you whispered to yourself that you were not good enough, when failure or rejection cut deep and left behind words that never stopped repeating. Those words did not fade. They became patterns, and the patterns turned into a program, shaping your identity. The truth is, many beliefs inside your head were not chosen by you. They were given to you. A parent's criticism, a teacher's judgment, or the weight of cultural rules can plant seeds that grow into forests of doubt and insecurity. Science of neuroplasticity shows that the brain rewires itself based on repeated thoughts. Every repetition strengthens the circuit, making it easier for the same sentence to return again. What feels like your nature may be nothing more than a habit practiced for years. Think about a veteran who returned from Iraq, carrying a constant voice telling him he was a failure, broken, and beyond repair. For a long time, he lived under its control, believing the whispers as if they were his own. But through therapy, he discovered the voice was not him. It was a script left behind by trauma, and once he separated his true self from that noise, he began to heal, rebuild, and create a future no longer defined by the past. The same is possible for you, because you are not the harsh critic within. You are the awareness listening to it. You are not the wound. You are the witness that decides what remains and what is released. This recognition is the key that opens freedom. If that voice is not truly you, then it loses its power, and you gain the ability to create a new story that serves you instead of holding you back. If you have ever confused that inner dialogue with your true identity, press like now to confirm you have uncovered the truth. And stay with this journey, because the question that follows will open the path even wider. If that voice is not you, then who are you really? You are the observer, the awareness rising above the whispers within. You are not the stream of thoughts. You are the one who notices them appear and disappear. In this very instant, if you pause and watch the voice inside, you will realize there is something greater, something silent that simply observes. That is the core of who you are, the witness that remains steady when the noise fades. Imagine sitting in stillness, your head filled with worry and fear. Then suddenly you step back and see the storm without becoming the storm. The shift is profound. You move from being trapped in thoughts to being the space in which they come and go. This is the beginning of clarity. Science has shown this in surprising ways. The double-slit experiment in quantum physics revealed that particles behave differently when they are observed. Observation itself changes the result. Apply this to your own life and you see the same truth. When you observe your thoughts without being ruled by them, you alter the outcome. You create choice where there was once chaos. Think of the teacher in California who lived with constant anxiety. Every day her mind produced endless fears until she discovered meditation. By learning to observe her inner dialogue, she stopped fighting the current. She realized she was the watcher. With practice, her energy shifted and she became a source of calm strength, changing not only her own life but the atmosphere in her classroom. This story proves that awareness is not passive. Awareness is power. By becoming the observer, you separate yourself from the negative script. You are not the critical voice. You are the awareness that hears it and decides its value. Each time you practice noticing without judging, you reinforce the truth that you are more than your thoughts. You are the field in which thoughts rise and dissolve. Feel the freedom that comes when you recognize this. A new space opens, a lighter energy appears, and control returns to you. You no longer need to suppress or obey the voice. You only need to observe, and through observing, you transform. Can you sense the shift when you witness without reaction? If you can, write "I am the observer" below to anchor this realization. Carry this awareness forward as we continue, because the next question opens the door even wider. If consciousness can observe, can it also change reality itself? Yes, because when you observe with new awareness, you are sending signals to reprogram both your brain and your reality. When you bring attention to a thought and decide to view it differently, you are not only changing perception, you are physically reshaping the wiring of your mind. This is the moment when observation turns into creation. Positive thinking is not about ignoring obstacles. It is about interpreting them in ways that generate resilience, growth, and new choices. Research from Stanford shows that simply changing how you frame a situation creates fresh neural pathways that strengthen your ability to adapt. A single shift in perspective can lead to long-term transformation in how your brain functions. Think about failure. Many people treat it as evidence of weakness. But what if failure is seen as feedback? What if setbacks are lessons? What if mistakes are teachers? The entire journey changes direction. Consider the founder in Silicon Valley who endured 2 painful bankruptcies. Each collapse seemed to prove that he was not capable until he chose to alter his interpretation. He stopped labeling those endings as proof of defeat and instead saw them as practice. He examined the reasons behind the losses, reframed the pain as preparation, and tried again with new insight. The third attempt brought success, building a company that turned him into a millionaire in technology. The turning point was not chance. It was perspective. His new way of seeing created new actions, and those actions created a different life. The same possibility exists in you. Every situation offers two choices. You can allow fear to define you, or you can see through the eyes of growth and rewrite the script. When the story changes, the result changes. Your outer reality bends to the way your inner world interprets it. This is the true creative power of consciousness. If you are ready to view reality with fresh eyes, press subscribe now and begin the path of reconstruction. Let this be the step where you commit, where you accept that awareness is not passive but active, not a concept but a force. As this idea sinks deeper, prepare for what comes next, because the greater challenge remains. How do you shift from knowing this truth to living it, moving from understanding to action every single day? The key is to break procrastination with small but decisive steps. Procrastination steals progress silently, and you already know its grip. You promise yourself tomorrow will be the day you change, yet tomorrow comes and nothing shifts. The loop continues, and every delay adds more weight to your mind. The truth is, transformation does not require massive effort. It begins with actions so small yet powerful enough to disrupt the old cycle and create momentum. Think of how many times you recognized the need for change but postponed it, convincing yourself that later was safer. Later never comes, because hesitation feeds on waiting. The way forward is to make the gap between intention and execution so small that resistance cannot survive. James Clear, in Atomic Habits, showed that tiny beginnings grow into lasting transformation. This is the minute rule. Start with something so simple it feels almost trivial, and watch it expand. Consider the man in Texas who struggled with depression. Life felt heavy, and motivation seemed impossible. Instead of setting huge goals, he made a promise to move his body for just 2 minutes at the gym. That short action seemed too small to matter, yet it changed everything. 2 minutes turned into 5, 5 became 10, and soon he built a routine that lifted him out of despair and into a healthy lifestyle. The secret was not giant leaps, but choosing an entry point so small it bypassed fear. You can do the same in your own life. Break any goal into the smallest possible step. If you want to write, begin with 1 sentence. If you want to run, put on your shoes. If you want to build a business, make 1 call. Each action chips away at the walls of procrastination and trains your brain to see yourself as someone who acts. Fear loses strength when confronted with motion. Confidence grows when exercised repeatedly in small doses. Over time, the little steps become habits, and habits form an unstoppable identity. Action matters more than theory, because knowledge without practice locks you in place. Today is the only day that matters. If you are ready to move now, type start in the comments and declare your first step into change. And as you step forward, keep the next question alive in your heart, because action is only the beginning. Once you start, how can you sustain it for the long run? You sustain by activating your inner strength, the source of energy that never runs dry. External conditions will always rise and fall, but within you lies a deeper force that carries you through storms. When life becomes heavy and the outside world feels uncertain, it is this inner fire that allows you to keep moving forward. The secret is to find the why that fuels you, a reason that is so meaningful it gives you strength when everything else is weak. Without a deep why, motivation fades quickly, but with it, you can endure, persist, and rise again. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived concentration camps, wrote that those who had meaning could withstand unimaginable hardship. He discovered that life with purpose creates resilience no suffering can destroy. Your why becomes the anchor when the winds of difficulty try to push you down. Think of the single mother in Chicago who worked all day, then went to night school to earn her degree. Exhaustion was constant. Obstacles were everywhere, but she refused to quit. Her reason was love for her child. Every class she attended, every exam she passed, was fueled not by external praise, but by an inner devotion to create a better future. That love became her endless energy. You have the same potential inside you. Look at your own journey and ask, what is the reason that makes quitting impossible? Maybe it is your family, your dreams, or a vision of the person you want to become. When you connect to that reason, you tap into power that cannot be broken by circumstance. Outer motivation fades when conditions change, but inner strength grows because it is tied to meaning. To sustain progress, remind yourself daily of your why. Write it down, speak it aloud, carry it within you like a shield. When challenges appear, you will not be shaken, because your why is stronger than your fear. If you have a reason that makes giving up unthinkable, share one word in the comments that represents that motivation. Let that word become your anchor. And as you reflect on this truth, prepare for the next step of the journey, because beyond sustaining lies a deeper discovery, waiting to unfold. If you are not the voice inside and you are more than action, then who is your true self, and how can you connect with it? You touch your higher self when you stop identifying with fear and begin to live with authenticity. The higher self is not a dream or a distant idea. It is the truest version of you that exists beneath layers of doubt, expectation, and social masks. It is the part of you that does not shrink to please others, that does not hide behind excuses, that does not surrender to fear. It is courageous, creative, and free. To reach it, you must pause and ask yourself with honesty, what do I truly want? This question is powerful because it cuts through noise and reveals desire without filters. Carl Jung once said that those who look outside will dream, but those who look inside will awaken. To awaken means to see clearly, to step beyond the illusions created by fear and step into alignment with what your soul already knows. Think about the artist in Los Angeles who once chased fame, painting for recognition rather than truth. For years, she felt empty, as if no amount of applause could satisfy the hunger within. Then she stopped and listened to her inner call. She began painting for herself, without trying to impress or fit expectations. Through that shift, she found freedom, and with freedom came real success, not just in her career, but in her heart. Her art touched people, not because it followed trends, but because it carried truth. This is what happens when you live from the higher self. You move from survival to creation. You stop being ruled by fear of judgment, and instead become guided by authenticity. The higher self is not something you build, it is something you uncover. It was always there, waiting for you to stop pretending. The courage to live as your authentic self is the key to fulfillment. If you are ready to embrace this part of you, leave the word truth in the comments to mark the beginning of this deeper connection. Let that word remind you that you are more than fear, more than old patterns, more than the expectations placed upon you. Carry it with you as proof that you have chosen authenticity over illusion. And as you breathe in this realization, prepare for the next step, because awareness alone is not enough. The question remains, how do you turn all these insights into daily reality, where every moment becomes a reflection of your higher self? By practicing every day, you turn awareness into a way of living. Knowledge alone cannot change your life unless it is embodied through action. The mind learns through repetition, and what you repeat becomes who you are. Small practices, done daily, create powerful shifts that no amount of theory can replace. One simple practice is mindful breathing. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and focus on each breath entering and leaving your body. Notice without judgment. Each inhale and exhale brings you back to the present moment. This trains your mind to observe instead of react, to be calm instead of chaotic. Another practice is rewriting the metaphor of your life. If you have been telling yourself that life is a battle, you will constantly feel like a soldier. If you changed the metaphor to a journey, or a dance, or a garden, the words you choose create the lens through which you live. By writing down a new metaphor that inspires you, you reshape the way you experience challenges and victories. The third practice is gratitude. Research from UC Davis shows that gratitude increases happiness by 25%. Take a few minutes each day to write down 3 things you are thankful for. It could be the sunlight through your window, a friend who cares, or the strength within you to keep going. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present, and what you focus on expands. Think of the student in Boston who struggled with negativity and despair. Life felt heavy until he began keeping a gratitude journal. At first it was difficult, but little by little his mindset changed. Over time he transformed from a pessimist into someone who inspired thousands online. His influence did not come from pretending to be positive, but from practicing gratitude until it became part of him. These practices are not difficult, but their power lies in consistency. Each time you breathe with awareness, write a new metaphor, or record gratitude, you strengthen the identity of someone who lives consciously. This is how awareness becomes experience, and experience becomes identity. Try it now. Write 3 things you are grateful for today in the comments, and feel the shift inside you as you take action. And as you anchor this practice, hold the next question in your mind, because awareness repeated becomes belief, and the challenge ahead is clear. How do you ensure that new belief takes root so deeply it becomes a natural part of who you are? Belief takes root when you repeat it often enough for the brain to record it. This is the foundation of reprogramming your mind. Change does not happen in a single moment. It is built through consistent repetition until the new pattern becomes automatic. Think back to when you learned how to ride a bicycle. At first it was awkward, unstable, and filled with mistakes. Yet with practice, balance became natural. What was once impossible turned into something you could do without thinking. The same principle applies to building new beliefs. Every time you affirm a thought with emotion, you are training your brain to accept it as reality. Neuroscience shows that neurons that fire together wire together. Each repetition strengthens the circuit until it becomes the default path. This is why affirmations and visualization are so powerful. When you speak words of strength and imagine yourself living them, the brain does not distinguish between imagination and reality. It encodes the experience as if it were real, laying the foundation for new behavior. Athletes have known this secret for years. Consider the NBA player who wanted to perfect his free throw record. Beyond physical training, he spent hours in mental rehearsal, visualizing the ball leaving his hands and landing perfectly in the net. His mind practiced success before his body delivered it. Over time, his performance reached record-breaking levels, proving the force of visualization combined with repetition. You can do the same with your own life. Choose a belief you want to plant deep within. Speak it daily with conviction. Picture yourself embodying it fully. At first it may feel forced, but repetition transforms it into truth. Just like pedaling a bike, what starts with effort soon becomes effortless. Persistence is the bridge between who you are now and who you want to become. The brain will resist at first, clinging to old patterns. But every new repetition weakens the past and strengthens the future. Do not underestimate the power of a single thought repeated with faith. Over weeks and months, it rewires your mind and reshapes your identity. If you are ready to begin, write down one belief you want to root into your mind right now. Let that sentence become the seed of your transformation. And as you take this step, remember that all of these practices are guiding you towards something greater. At the end of this journey, one final question remains. Where does all of this lead, and who do you become when the process is complete? It leads you to become the creator of your own reality, no longer a victim, but the author of your life. This is the summit of the journey, the moment when you look back and see how far you have come. You began by realizing that the inner voice was shaping your world. You learned that the voice was not truly you, but a program from the past. You discovered that you are the observer, the one who holds awareness beyond the noise. You saw how observation itself carries the power to reshape reality. You understood that action matters more than theory, and that small, consistent steps break procrastination. You recognized that sustaining change requires tapping into inner strength and a why that fuels persistence. You connected with the higher self, the authentic version of you that lives beyond fear. You practiced daily exercises to turn awareness into lived experience. You learned how repetition and visualization reprogram the brain, planting new beliefs that take root over time. Now, all of this comes together here, at the peak, where you understand that you are not powerless, you are powerful. Science supports this truth. Harvard research on growth mindset shows that people who believe they can change consistently achieve higher levels of success. Belief becomes the foundation of achievement, and awareness transforms into creation. Imagine your life after breaking free from the chains of that inner critic. Picture waking up with clarity, choosing action over delay, sustaining your growth with purpose, and living from authenticity. Picture yourself creating each day instead of reacting to fear. This is not fantasy, it is the reality waiting for you when you step fully into your role as the architect of your story. Consider the man in Los Angeles who once lived homeless, trapped by circumstance. He chose to reprogram his mind, to build belief, to practice daily. Today, he is not only free from the streets, he is a coach who inspires others to reclaim their own lives. His story is proof that the shift is possible for anyone who commits. If you are ready to take ownership of your life, press subscribe now and declare your decision. Share in the comments which part of this journey touched you most, and let that moment anchor into your heart. And thank you, because out of millions of videos, you chose to stay here with me. That choice is already proof that you are ready to become the true creator of your reality.